Have you ever looked at someone and felt like your heart finally exhaled? Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt like you've known them forever, even though you just met? That's not chemistry. That's recognition. That's your soul remembering home. Like somehow, without a single word, they understood everything you've ever been through. This isn't just chemistry. This isn't infatuation. This is your soul recognizing something it's been searching for, maybe in every lifetime before this one. Because a soulmate doesn't just enter your life with grand gestures or loud promises. They arrive in the quiet, in the calm, and suddenly, love stops feeling like a chase and starts feeling like home. If someone makes you feel found when you didn't even know you were lost, stay right here. Because today, we're diving deep into the 6 powerful signs that you may have already found your soulmate and didn't even realize it yet. When you meet your soulmate, something unexplainable happens. You feel seen. Not just noticed, not just appreciated, but deeply seen. It's like someone walks straight past the mask you've spent years perfecting and gently holds the parts of you've hidden, even from yourself. There's no performance, no need to shrink, no pressure to be more or to be different. Around them, you breathe easier. The tension in your shoulders loosens, your words come more naturally, and your silence isn't awkward. It's comforting. That comfort, that emotional safety, is not something that can be faked or forced. It's either there or it's not. And when it is, it changes everything. In a world that constantly asks us to prove ourselves, to show up stronger, smarter, better, you finally meet someone who says, "You're enough, just as you are." They don't love you because you checked off some imaginary list or played your role right. They love you because of who you are, not who you try to be. With them, you can cry without apology, laugh without holding back, and be vulnerable without fear. You don't need to constantly explain yourself. They read your silences, they hear the emotions behind your words, and they respond with presence, not judgment. It's rare to feel emotionally naked with someone and still feel safe. But your soulmate does that. You could be sitting on a couch, saying nothing, and still feel more connected than you ever did in hours of conversation with others. That's because their understanding of you doesn't come from curiosity. It comes from alignment. It's a kind of inner knowing. It's how you feel understood, not because they've studied you, but because they remember you, as if their soul and yours have danced this dance before. Even your imperfections feel safe in their presence. You don't flinch when you're messy, broken, or uncertain because they don't recoil, they stay. They don't walk away when you're having a bad day. They don't shut down when your emotions run deep. They know your depth isn't a burden, it's part of your beauty. And you feel that not just in words, but in the way they hold space for you, especially when you're not at your best. What makes it even more powerful is that you start seeing yourself through their eyes. The parts of you doubted, they admire. The things you criticized in yourself, they celebrate. Their love becomes a mirror that reflects your worth, your strength, and your light. And when you begin to believe in yourself a little more just because they do, that's when you know this is something different. This is not just love. This is recognition. This is resonance. This is the kind of connection that doesn't need to be explained to anyone else, because it was never meant to be understood by the mind. It was meant to be felt by the heart. When you found your soulmate, being with them doesn't feel like an escape from the world. It feels like healing within it. There's a calm that settles over you in their presence. Like the noise of the world fades, just enough for your heart to breathe again. You don't need to run away from your problems to feel peace. You just need to be near them. Their presence is grounding, not distracting. It doesn't pull you away from reality. It helps you face it with more strength, more clarity, and more softness in your soul. That kind of connection doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention, and it doesn't mask your pain with temporary highs. It simply stands beside you and says, "You're not alone in this anymore." There's a quiet magic in the way your soul slowly begins to repair itself just by being around them. You find yourself no longer needing to pretend to be strong all the time. You can collapse into their arms after a hard day, not because you're weak, but because you finally feel safe enough to let go. It's not about hiding your scars. It's about having someone who doesn't flinch when they see them. Instead of telling you to forget your pain, they sit with it. They don't offer hollow solutions or motivational cliches. They offer their presence. And sometimes that presence is more powerful than any words could ever be. What's beautiful is that time with them doesn't feel like an escape hatch from life. It feels like coming back to yourself. You become more in tune with who you are, more honest about what you need, and more willing to face your own reflection. They don't numb your wounds, they walk with you through them. They remind you that healing isn't linear, that it's okay to fall apart sometimes, and that no matter how messy the process is, they're not going anywhere. That kind of constancy creates a safe space where your heart can slowly rebuild itself, not out of fear, but out of love. Even the mundane becomes meaningful. Sitting beside them in silence, watching a movie, taking a walk, or just lying in bed talking about nothing in particular, those moments become more therapeutic than anything else. Because in those small, ordinary moments, you feel more alive than you ever did chasing highs or running from loneliness. Their love brings you back to the present. And in that presence, you find parts of yourself you didn't even know were missing. It's not about avoiding the hard things. It's about having someone who gives you the strength to face them. And when love becomes a place where healing happens, not because someone fixes you, but because they hold you while you fix yourself, then you've found something rare. You've found someone who doesn't just love your light, but honors your darkness too. And that kind of love doesn't come often, but when it does, you'll know. Because you won't be escaping anymore, you'll be coming home. When you've truly found your soulmate, growth no longer feels like a lonely path. It becomes a shared journey. You're not pushing forward while they're holding you back, and you're not dimming your light to make them feel comfortable. Instead, you both rise together. There's a natural rhythm between you, where your individual evolution fuels the relationship rather than threatens it. You celebrate each other's victories without comparison. Their success doesn't make you feel small, it makes you feel proud. You look at them achieving something, and instead of envy, you feel this deep joy. Because their win is your win too. Your soulmate doesn't compete with you. They don't keep score. They don't feel insecure when you grow or change. Instead, they cheer you on with a fire in their eyes and a belief in your potential that sometimes even you can't see. They want to see you become everything you were born to be, not because it benefits them, but because they genuinely want that for you. That kind of support is rare. It's the kind that makes you feel braver, more capable, more willing to take risks. You stop being afraid of failing because you know, even if you fall, they'll still be there holding your hand and reminding you of your strength. And the beauty is, it's mutual. You push each other, not with pressure, but with love. You inspire each other to do better, to heal deeper, to dream bolder. When one of you starts to doubt yourselves, the other steps in, not to rescue, but to remind. You don't fix each other, you reflect each other. And in that reflection, you both evolve. There's this unspoken agreement between you: we grow, or we grow apart. And because the love is real, you both choose growth every time. Even the hard conversations become part of that journey. You're not afraid to challenge each other. You don't avoid the truth just to keep the peace. You trust that your bond is strong enough to withstand honesty. And when conflict arises, it becomes an opportunity to understand one another more deeply. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's about who you both are becoming and how you can do that without losing the love between you. When you grow, they don't ask you to stay the same. They don't miss the version of you from yesterday. They're excited about the version that's emerging today. And when you look at them, you feel the same. There's nothing stagnant about the connection. It's alive, evolving, and filled with mutual encouragement. You both water each other's roots and celebrate the new blooms. This is the kind of love that doesn't just survive over time, it expands. Because when you've found your soulmate, growth isn't just possible, it's inevitable. And it becomes the most beautiful part of your love story. When you found your soulmate, even your conflicts feel different. Disagreements don't become wars. Tension doesn't lead to emotional distance. Instead, there's a quiet, almost sacred respect that remains in the room, even when voices rise and emotions flare. You're not trying to hurt each other or win an argument. You're trying to be understood. You're not fighting to prove a point. You're fighting to protect the connection. And that shift changes everything. Because when love stays in the room during a conflict, healing becomes possible. In relationships where the bond isn't deep, conflict often becomes a weapon. Silence turns into punishment. Words are used to wound, and distance is created like a wall. But with your soulmate, even in the heat of a disagreement, there's a part of you that still feels connected to them. You may be frustrated, even angry, but you never question their love. You never doubt their loyalty. You know deep down, they're not going anywhere. And that knowing gives you the safety to be honest, even when it's messy. They don't shut down when you speak your truth. They don't twist your words or make your pain about them. Instead, they listen. not just to respond, but to truly understand. And when they speak, you do the same. You learn how to pause, to breathe, to remember that you're on the same team, even when your perspectives clash. Because the fight isn't between you and them. It's you both against the misunderstanding between you. That's the kind of emotional maturity that only comes from a soul-deep connection. What's even more powerful is how you both come back to each other. The reconnection after a conflict isn't delayed by pride or ego. Apologies are not currency. They're gifts freely given. There's no scoreboard, no you always, or you never, thrown around carelessly. There's a softness even in your frustration, because deep down you're both aware this love is too precious to let anger win. And sometimes, the arguments themselves become opportunities. They uncover hidden fears, unmet needs, or wounds from the past. And because you're with someone who doesn't weaponize your vulnerability, you're able to grow through the discomfort. You start to recognize each other's triggers not as flaws, but as parts of your story. You learn when to push and when to hold back. You begin to love more skillfully, not perfectly, but intentionally. With your soulmate, conflict isn't the end. It's a bridge. A bridge to more understanding, more connection, more intimacy. And each time you cross that bridge together, you trust the relationship more. You feel safer, you feel stronger, and you begin to realize that love doesn't mean never fighting. It means never walking away when things get hard. Because when love stays in the room, even when it hurts, you're reminded that you're not just surviving a relationship. You're building one that lasts. There's something profoundly beautiful about the quiet, ordinary moments when you're with your soulmate. It's not the grand gestures or cinematic declarations that make your heart feel full. It's the simplicity of just being together. You could be sitting on the floor, eating takeout in pajamas, or walking in hand through a grocery store aisle, and somehow those moments feel more alive, more real than anything else in the world. That's because love, when it's true, doesn't need fireworks to feel magical. It exists in the space between breaths and the gentle routines, in the steady rhythm of two lives slowly weaving into one. With your soulmate, you start to realize that love isn't something you perform. It's something you live. You don't need to chase excitement to feel connected. You don't need constant entertainment or dramatic highs to feel passion. Their presence becomes your peace. Even doing nothing with them feels like something. A lazy Sunday morning with coffee and quiet conversation can feel more intimate than a night out filled with noise and distraction. You begin to crave those little slices of life. The shared glances, the private jokes, the feeling of falling asleep beside them knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And it's in those small moments where you start to see the depth of the connection. When they remember the way you take your tea, or leave a note for when they know you're having a hard day, or simply reach out to hold your hand without needing a reason. Those gestures may seem small, but they carry the weight of 1,000 unspoken promises. Promises that say, I see you. I'm here, I choose you. You stop measuring love by dramatic declarations and start feeling it in the consistency, in the presence, in the way their love shows up again and again in the background of your daily life. You feel it when they listen. Really listen. When you're talking about something that matters to you. You feel it when they laugh with you about something only the two of you would find funny. You feel it when you both look at each other at the end of a long day and, without words, you know you've made it through something together. The world will always try to tell you that love needs to be loud to be real, but your soulmate will show you the opposite. They'll teach you that love is in the quiet consistency, in the patience, in the way you both keep showing up for each other, for the relationship, for the life you're building together. And one day, you'll look back and realize that those ordinary days, the ones where nothing special happened, were the most sacred of all. Because when the smallest moments feel big simply because they include them, you'll know you found something truly rare, something lasting, something real. There are moments in life when the weight of the world feels heavier than your spirit can carry. You begin to forget who you are. Not because you want to, but because life, pain, and disappointment start chipping away at your confidence, your passion, and your belief in yourself. But when you've found your soulmate, they become the one who gently places the pieces back together, not by fixing you, but by reminding you of your truth. They see you in ways you've forgotten how to see yourself. And when your voice trembles, when your light dims, when your dreams seem distant, they become the mirror that reflects not who you are in your lowest moment, but who you truly are underneath the hurt. There's a powerful kind of love in that. The kind that holds you not only when you're strong and successful, but when you're uncertain, broke, and afraid. Your soulmate doesn't run from your struggles. They lean in. They see your battles not as burdens, but as chapters in the story of your becoming. And when you're too tired to believe in your own future, they whisper belief into you. Not because they're trying to save you, but because they already know the strength that lives inside you. They've seen it. They trust it. Even when you don't. And it's not just with words. It's in the way they show up. In the way they look at you when you're doubting yourself. In the quiet reassurance of their presence when everything feels uncertain. They don't panic when you fall apart. They don't flinch when you question everything. Instead, they become a stillness in the chaos. A grounding force. They love you through it. And somehow, that love begins to rebuild something sacred within your own self-worth. Your soulmate becomes the person who reminds you of your value, not by praising your achievements, but by honoring your essence. They see the beauty in your scars, the wisdom in your wounds, the hope in your heart even when it's buried under fear. Their belief in you doesn't come and go with circumstance. It stays. It endures. And over time, their faith in you starts to awaken your own. You start to see yourself not through the eyes of the world, but through the eyes of love. And that love doesn't ask you to become someone else. It simply reflects back the person you were always meant to be. Even in the darkness, they hold on to your light. Even when you lose your way, they never lose sight of you. That's what a soulmate does. They anchor you when you drift. They speak truth when you're lost in doubt. They hold the memory of your strength until you remember it again. And sometimes, that's all it takes. One person who refuses to let you forget who you are. One person whose love doesn't just make you feel loved, but makes you feel found. Thank you for sharing these few quiet moments with me. If something in this message echoed in your heart, trust that it wasn't by accident. Maybe you've already met the one your soul has been searching for. Or maybe they're just around the corner, waiting for the right moment to walk in. Wherever you in your journey, never forget, you are worthy of love that feels safe, seen, and real. Love that doesn't rush, doesn't hurt, and never makes you question your worth. Until next time, take care of your heart. And remember, real love doesn't need to be chased. It simply stays. Goodbye for now. And thank you for listening.